Hello everyone, it's Mark and welcome back. In this video I'm going to talk to you about the difference between being Baker acted and being arrested for an alleged crime. So I was prosecutor for many years back in the early to mid 90s, not to age myself. I've also practiced in the criminal defense world for many years, so I'm very familiar with both Baker acts and criminal cases. So let's talk about sort of the big differences here. So in both instances, whether it's a Baker Act or a criminal arrest, it is the state taking custody of you. The state has a criminal system, and the state also has a mental health system. Now, when it comes to the Baker Act, and I've talked about this in other videos, right? A police officer can Baker Act you, a judge can order you Baker Acted, or a qualified professional such as a licensed clinical social worker or an emergency room doctor can Baker Act you. In each of those three instances, once you've been Baker acted, you have been detained by the state of Florida, okay? You have been detained. Now, if you get arrested, again, you've been detained by the state of Florida, except this time either there's an arrest because there was probable cause by a police officer, perhaps there was an arrest warrant issued for you. Whatever the case is, you have been sort of detained by the state of Florida. Now, when it comes to the criminal matters, right, if you have been arrested and taken to the county jail, in other words, you have been placed in custody, within 24 hours, as a matter of law, in the Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure, you must be seen by a judge, okay, to address two things. Number one, was there probable cause to arrest you? Was it a good arrest? Was it a legal arrest? And number two, if it was, what's a reasonable bond? Because unless you've committed some type of heinous crime like first-degree premeditated murder, we don't want you sitting in custody, right? We just want to make sure that if you are released, that you come back for your court hearings. I mean, we simply can't afford to house everybody who's been arrested, and not everybody who's been arrested should be detained until the case gets resolved 60, 90 days, a year from now. It's just simply not, feasible, and it's not right. So if you've been arrested, if you can't post what's known as a scheduled bond, you're going to be seeing a judge, and most likely you're going to be released. Now, if you've been Baker acted, are you going to see a judge automatically as a matter of law? No, you're not going to be seeing a judge. And that's where, where somebody like me comes along, because I'm going to make sure that your case gets seen by a judge. In fact, the only time that you're going to see a judge in a Baker Act case is if you have been involuntarily Baker acted as opposed to voluntarily Baker acted, and the facility has filed a petition to keep you, a petition for placement. And that means, in theory, you could go a week, even 10 days, without seeing a judge. So you've been Baker acted, okay? You may have been Baker acted illegally. You certainly haven't been accused of any kind of criminal activity, and you might have to wait 7 to 10 days to see a judge. You've been arrested, right? And by the way, if you've been arrested and you go to see a judge within 24 hours, you're almost certainly going to get a lawyer appointed to represent you within 24 hours, right? You get to be released within 24 hours. So you can see how sort of the insanity of the whole system is, right? You've been accused of some type of mental health issue, right? Not your fault, right? You may not get to see a judge for 7 to 10 days, unless, of course, you hire us, in which case you're going to be potentially seeing a judge much, much sooner than that. On the other hand, you've been arrested, and you automatically get to see a judge, and you automatically get a lawyer appointed for you. So this is the sort of insanity, the madness of the Baker Act system, which is why, and I keep insisting, I keep pushing you that if your loved one has been Baker acted, the time to take action is now, as soon as possible, if you don't want them to get stuck there, in theory, for an indefinite period of time. Anyway, with that said, thanks for tuning in. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.